All right, everyone. We're going to give it a little bit of time. People are still coming in. I don't want to really start the presentation and explanation until everybody gets here. So give us a few minutes and we'll get started.
No, this is like
Gary Beach. That's
oh snap, and it's forward. I haven't turned around in a minute.
Should I hop up and film it back real quick? Hold on.
Oh, that was just so everyone knows, Darren Short just let us all know that he's just given a few more minutes for everybody to get in. It is a packed house in here, so he wanted to have everybody give everybody time to come in.
Just a reminder, everyone, we've got enough people still waiting to come in outside that we will probably be full. So make sure that you allocate some of those seats. Like if you've got space between you and another person, scoot together and we'll. Yeah, well, these guys know what's going on. Jake follows instructions. All right, the Rices are doing it. Oh, there's great job, guys. All right, gold star. All right, thank you.
Yeah, the Zoom probably hasn't started yet, just because they're still waiting. Darren's given everybody a few more minutes to come in and sit down. I hope everybody can hear me. I don't know if I'm talking to myself. Huh? Oh, thank you.
Bridge was important. Yeah.
Oh, I can do it. Everyone tag after this. I can't do it right now. I know that's not helpful in this moment, but actually that's a good question. Let me look around and see if he is here. Sarah was here yesterday. He was here. I'm gonna go ask Sarah real quick.
Hey, believe.
Sorry guys, I'm super packed in here, so I'm trying to scooch around and make room. I don't know, Christy. I'm gonna look for Sarah and ask her if she knows.
That's Lexi's phone.
So you might need to refresh, pop out, and then jump back in and refresh if you can't hear anything. And I did just speak with Sarah, and she said that the governor was unable to land, so he did not make it, but he did a call with them, and they had like I don't know what you would call it, like an emergency management meeting with all of the groups, which we will learn more about today. So we'll be able to get more on that. Oh, thanks, Sabrina. I suppose if she couldn't hear, she wouldn't have heard me say that.
All right, everybody settle in here. We'll get going. What a turnout. Thank you all for being here. I'm Zach Sherbo, day job public health manager for Lincoln County. Last however many days, I've been the public information officer for this incident. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I'm sure we have I want to try and get to the questions as soon as we can. So I'm going to turn things over to these guys here for a brief overview. But just, again, with this many people, public health, couple of reminders, be aware of where your exits are, should anything go on here. The way that we're going to kind of structure things is you saw the note cards in the front for questions. That way I can moderate things. I can go to the response crew that I've got here with me, those subject matter experts, to best answer your question. And I'll have Trista running around too. If something comes up as we go and you have a question,
track her down. She'll give you a note card, a pen, and make sure that it gets to us, okay?
But we can pass them all to the ice.
Yeah, pass them to the aisles, please. First and foremost, thanks to all the local first responders. I know we're all working on very little sleep right now, so if I kind of... So if I start mumbling through this, don't hold it against me, please. This is our first community meeting, obviously. First of many, we intend to, follow up as often as we can, and as things continue to evolve and change. Right now, the best platform for updated information is the Health Department Facebook page. That's where we're trying to push out information first and foremost. So that's going to be your best source to go to as things come up in the EOC. I think I'll leave it at that, and we'll get to the meat of things. Boyd, I'll turn it over to Boyd here first. He's been our IC, continues to be our IC with this, so he's going to provide an overview of things at this point.
Thanks, Zach, and thanks again for everybody for being here. Boyd White, and I've been IC on this event. I am officially the Lincoln County Emergency Management Director. It's an office of one, so that's me. I direct myself. I'm running on caffeine and sugar for the last few days, and So I've been running on caffeine and sugar for the last few days, so if I get a little off track, just bear with me. I'm going to cover a number of things here, including initial response to this event and how it played out. But first of all, I want to thank, specifically some of the people that have been helping out. Our volunteers that showed up at the sandbag sites, they were a huge help. Red Cross has been in town and provided water and opened up shelters for us. The Montana Sheriff's Mutual Aid that helped us get organized and get some more parties in here to help out with managing this incident, because it's, as a Libby resident my entire life, with my family here, I've never seen anything like this. I'd like to thank Missoula, Gallatin, Lewis and Clark, and Flathead County Sheriff's Office, all for sending people over to help with this incident. We've had Flathead Search and Rescue here as well. The DNRC has people on board, Army Corps of Engineers, and so we've got a lot of people here. We've had all the local fire departments, Troy and Libby, Fisher River's been out, we've got our road crews out, and so we've got a lot of community members at play here working. So give me a chance here to take a breath. I'm also a bit emotional. This is my town.
It's okay.
And that's just the kind of person I am. So this incident, when it rolled out, we were monitoring the weather, getting the warnings that we were looking at significant amounts of rain, and that we had snowpack, and that I was continuing to touch base with National Weather Service. Advisories were that we were going to get some issues, but it was significantly greater than anything that ever came across the telephone to me. So it definitely took us by surprise. It took me by surprise anyway. I got called out. We were checking streams regular basis for days, kind of monitoring them. We saw very little change. They were gradually coming up. And then that night, my last trip was about 8 o'clock at night, and I went home, went to bed about 9, got called out at 10:30 to Granite Creek off of Lower Granite, that it was over top of the roadway coming around the bridge. And so I rolled out there, confirmed that, started checking other sites, called out resources to get barricades in, and started checking on residences, particularly places that I knew had histories. Started finding the flooding out there by the old McGrade School on Front Market, And we started just trying to notify people, make sure people that were affected right then were aware that they were being affected. And we worked into the night till about 2:30 trying to get barricades up and stuff. Went home, took a short break, got called back out. I checked with Weather Service. They said streams should probably top out about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. So went home probably about 2:30, and I got called back out at 4:30 that things were continuing to progress. And that's when we started, we barricaded some more streams off, started issuing emergency alerts, because we could tell at that point that this was really going to be a magnitude that we hadn't seen. And it just kind of progressed from there. And we started losing bridges and roads, and we just kept bringing in more resources. So it really turned into, well, you guys have seen the pictures. So I'll kind of leave that part at that. I can answer more questions later. Anyway, operational update. We're still continuing to respond to the flooding event, and we have brought in a lot of other resources. The EOC and the operating people have grown substantially the first day, along with all those parties that I mentioned earlier that are providing resources to us. The public notification system, Code Red is still currently being used. If you're not aware, Code Red a little while back got hacked and it was down completely for a while. We had some issues with the operating system itself. They didn't do a good job of notifying us. It was a couple of days before we even knew we didn't have an emergency alerting system. The federal government actually notified us that Code Red had experienced a hack and was down. And that affects our ability to send out alerts over Code Red, plus our ability to send out accurate and specific alerts over IPAWS. So we were way behind the ball on that. The last 2 weeks, I've been working really hard with Code Red to get back on. They had a backup system, and so we were working with them to get all the information transferred over and to get Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and Emergency Management onto their backup system, and then to retrain all of our personnel to be able to use that system effectively. And this hit us kind of in the middle of that whole thing, which probably caused some delays as we were trying to get the initial alerts out. But in the time frame since then, we've been able to get a better handle on that. We're still down on the IPAWS because Code Red has to be licensed by the federal government for us to issue IPAWS directly through them. So we have to go through a different system in order to use our IPAWS, and then we can't make it as direct. I mean, we can't like geo-target, just Libby. If we're going to do IPAWS, we have to do the whole county. So we're kind of cautious in how we use that. But the Code Red system is back up and working. The link is on both the EMA webpage, it's on the county webpage, and you can go there and sign up. So the other thing that happened was anybody that had registered for Code Red after March 31st of 2025, that information was lost in the hack. Everybody who had registered before that was supposed to still be good. And I say supposed to because honestly we don't really know, because a lot of that information is stored with them and we didn't have the direct access to who all was registered and not registered. So you can go on the new Code Red and re-register. If you were registered before, you can still go on there, re-register, and then we know for sure that we have your information. So, my apologies for that. We did try to push out information over our sites through the internet, but it's somewhat, we've been pushing the information out, but there's people that don't get it because there's people that don't use Facebook and aren't on the internet much. So,
You live on Flower Street.
yes. And so, anyway, we need, if you haven't registered, please register. Let's make it so that we can get as much information out as possible. And if you are registered and you get an alert, check on your neighbors, make sure in case they weren't registered that they get those alerts. If we send one, there's some seriousness behind it. We don't take those lightly. And kind of how the Code Red works, emergency management is a keeper. I pay the bills. I'm an administrator. And the sheriff's department is the user. They assign an administrator to work with me, and then dispatches the people who actually send out the alerts. So transportation and infrastructure status, Fifth Street Bridge, which was a big one to us. We had people driving clear up around the Fisher and back down the highway to town. We were able to get that back in play relatively quickly with the help of Montana Department of Transportation, who I forgot to thank earlier for sending over the bridge inspectors to help us. They have been in town. We had a team of bridge inspectors yesterday. First one that they did for us was at Fifth Street Bridge, so we could get that opened back up. They started checking other bridges and giving us feedback on the damage sustained to those during the flood. And today they came over with 2 teams so that they could double their efforts, and they're checking the bridges like north into the Ack and down 56 and stuff for us. All the highways are open and passable. We did have some closures on 56 at one point due to landslides. Highway 2 was never closed, although we did have concerns at the Libby Creek Bridge for a while. Highway 508 has been open. The 17-mile bridge on 508 is closed due to a formation of a sinkhole on the highway side of the bridge. So those residents are having to access their homes through East Side Road and over 17-mile road. And I'm just kind of looking through my notes here, taking a break, make sure I haven't missed anything. We are still conducting evaluations on the damage. Every day we find stuff that was affected that we didn't know about. I would anticipate this to go on for days, which also brings up the fact that if you know of some damaged roads, damaged bridges, anything that has affected our critical infrastructures, there's a table in the back where you can provide that information. And then if we didn't have it, we can send crews out to inspect those locations. Because I guarantee you, we don't know everything yet. We've been using Lincoln County Sheriff's Office deputies and road crews to go and patrol roads and check for damage, check bridges, see what else we might have out there that we're not aware of yet. They've been using drones. We're working on getting some aircraft in to check for damage from the air. As access improves, I'm sure we're going to find other things as we repair roads and get beyond those bad spots. We're probably going to find stuff after that as well too. This is an active and ongoing incident, and things are changing daily. We are trying to push out information as soon as we get it, and that's why checking that health department website periodically is very important. Whenever we have updates, our public information officer and his team build those updates and push them out in a very timely manner. We are moving to a Type 3 incident management team, which means we're bringing in resources that specialize in the management of an event like this, so that the people who have been supporting me at this time, our payroll, our human resources, the health department, so we can start moving them back into their normal day-to-day jobs. At this point, this incident has primarily been managed by just your local county personnel, and it's a lot bigger incident than we would be able to manage for very long. So that's why we're going to be transferring to that incident management team. American Red Cross has delivered water for us You see some of it outside there. And there should be information on the health department website on where it's going to be available. And I think that's it for my part of it. And I'll introduce Sheriff Darren Short to you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Doug did a great job of covering the incident to this point, so I'm going to have Derek bring up some maps to just show the residences that have been affected during this incident. All right. This is the backside of Bull Lake. This is one area that the residents were cut off or in danger of being cut off by the Ross Creek Bridge. The Ross Creek Bridge has since been inspected and cleared, so access is back open to these residents. Okay, this is another map of residences that have been compromised or potentially compromised. The Cherry Creek area, Champion Hall Road North. Most of this received a fairly significant amount of water on the roads, and there's a couple of bridges out that you can see at the bottom. And at the very bottom, the road is washed out and impassable. Big Drive area, this is the area out off Farm to Market Road, Tamarack Lane, Pinewood Lane. All of these residences that are pictured saw at least some amount of water from this incident. And this is another picture of the Champion Hall Road area along with Libby Airport. Again, low-lying areas that saw significant amounts of flooding. Next, we're going to talk about the water systems and dam safety. I know there's been a lot of question, a lot of concern about Libby's municipal water supply and the two reservoirs that are involved in that. So I'm going to bring up some pictures of, first, the upper Flower Creek Reservoir. This is where the new dam was constructed in 2015. This has been checked constantly. There's no danger of and no sign of any problems with this dam or this reservoir. This is where the largest amount of water from municipal water supply is stored. So when the information came out on Facebook and some of the other stuff, this is the dam that everybody thought was failing. This dam is intact and is in great shape. So this is the lower inundation area, diversion area. There's a lot of different names for it. This is the lower part of the municipal water supply. There isn't a lot of water held in this, and there's actually not even a dam there. This is just a dike that holds back the water and allows it to go into a pipe that feeds the water treatment plant. This is what the area of concern is about. But if you look at it, it is a pretty small area, and the amount of water that's held back in this is pretty insignificant. Even if this completely went away, the amount of water that we would see in town would probably be in the inches.
But you're not in town, but you're up against that thing or close to it. You know, there's you got Flower Creek Road, there's people up that way.
No, I understand that. If you look at the inundation map, though, a lot of that will stay within the channel until it starts to flatten out. But you have to understand. So let me talk a little bit more about this. This pond only held 29 acre-feet of water. 29 acre-feet is hard to explain, but it's not a huge amount of water. when the upper dam was built, when the construction was going on, we received a pretty significant rain event that rinsed a lot of the sediment from the upper reservoir down into this reservoir. So the actual amount of water that's held by this reservoir now is less than half that it initially was. So the inundation map that you saw was based on the amount of water that used to be held in this. The amount of water that's held in this now is less than half of what the initial inundation map showed. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully that alleviates a little bit of concern.
Darren, I have a question.
Yes.
So I understand the inundation map, as far as like, you're saying that there probably wouldn't be any concern for Libby Elementary School.
Correct.
What about Boyd White's house? Do you have concerns for your house?
There's lots of people's houses that are.
I will be happy to answer that question, but we are going to follow the game plans we established to answer those cards. But yeah, I would absolutely be happy to answer that question. And the answer is, do I have concern? Sure, I have a little bit of concern. But my wife's still there. I'm still there. I slept there last night. I'm going to sleep there tonight. You know, the only thing that we've done, we moved our camper out to my daughter's place just in case we, you know, and that's why that alert went out earlier. And we will address, I saw some questions about the timing of the alert. We will address that when we get to the cards. Okay? But yeah, I plan on staying there.
All right. I'd like to address a few public safety concerns. Anytime we have a large event, whether it's a fire or a flood, people want to get eyes on. People want to go out and look. They want to see the damage to the bridges, the damage to the roads. What I would ask everybody, we have a lot of emergency responders. We have a lot of people checking these areas. We have excavators. We have dump trucks. We have a lot of equipment going out to these areas. Please stay away from any of the areas that are affected by this flood. Please stay away from the bridges. Please stay away from the road washouts. One of the biggest problems with the bridges and the road washouts is a lot of places the asphalt is still intact. So if you walk out toward one of these areas, you may be walking on 2 inches of asphalt that has nothing underneath it. So those washouts are tremendous, and we can go through, well, if you look at that, that's the Granite Creek Bridge. Look at how much asphalt is hanging out over there, and you don't even know it until it collapses. So please stay away from these areas. With all of the significant rain that we've had, there are a lot of areas that, shoulders of roadways, those kinds of things that are very soft. Please be careful if you're pulling off a road, if you're out looking around, be careful of soft shoulders, soft areas in the roadways, those kinds of things. Like Boyd said, I want to cover a couple things. He threw out some acronyms. So just so people know, he said EOC. The EOC is the Emergency Operations Center that is just off of the Ponderosa Room at 952 East Spruce Street. That's where our incident management team is housed. That's where we're managing this incident from. This flooding event is going to have significant long-term impacts on the south end of the county. We don't even know how many bridges are out in the National Forest area. A lot of these places are inaccessible, and we're just finding out now. Part of what we're doing with the overflights and with the drone flights is trying to assess all of the other damage that we can't even access. The damage in this thing is probably going to go into the tens of millions of dollars. We are working hard to try to secure disaster and emergency services funding through the state, as well as FEMA funding, to try to get these roads and bridges rebuilt. So with that, I think we will jump into questions.
I'll just add, for those of you online, Sarah's moderating that, and we'll get questions there if you want to throw them in the chat.
Thanks, Zach. The first question that I do want to address, see my voice has calmed down a little bit as I've calmed down, a little water in me, take a deep breath. So it's emotional to me. We've been trying to push out public information by the minute. Every time we have an update, the PIO is on it, his team is on it, building alerts, pushing them out. Last night we pushed out a really late code red alert and Facebook notification about the dam and its condition. Not the dam, the lower water holding facility. Okay. And there is, there's a lot of confusion. Everybody, until I got into this job, I didn't even really fully understand that, even though I went through when they had the issue with the large dam. I was living in Flower Creek then. I've lived there for 30 years. But anyway, why did it get pushed out late? That's when we got it. And we met as a team, the sheriff, Commissioner Teskey, the mayor, city administrator, the PIO, Montana, DES, and we evaluated the information that we had received through Montana DES and through their resources about the condition of the dam based off of, don't say dam, the lower reservoir, lower water holding reservoir, and that they had concerns. So we took that information, we met as a team, we processed it, we decided what is the best way to get this out so that people are aware. Yes, there are concerns. We acknowledge those concerns. We need to make sure that our constituents are aware, and we developed the best information and message that we could and way to deliver it, and we did it. We knew that, it was going to cause a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, but that's what it was. There just wasn't any way in our minds that we could alleviate that or deliver that message better or in a different way. And I hope that answers that question. And then I'll go through, there's going to be a lot of questions there too that we can't answer because they're really directed at the city and their water treatment. And I'm sorry, we just don't have the answers for that. But I will go through those.
All right, we'll kind of pass it off and on here, just so we can catch a quick breath. So my question is, why was the OES office closed last night when the media notification directed us to that number? So we had a little bit of a faux pas last night. It was 11:30 at night when we finally got out of that office. We tried to make sure that the phones were forwarded to a cell phone. Everything checked out when we were there. Of course, everything failed when we left. We didn't realize that until this morning. So if the OES office is ever closed again, we will try to make sure that somebody is monitoring the phone, and we'll go from there. So I apologize for that. It was something that was unforeseen. Second question, why was the safety location for displaced people in the middle of the danger zone? Hopefully we've alleviated some of your concerns about the danger zone. The safety location was not in any danger. Even if we would have completely lost that diversion dike, the safety zone was not in danger, just because of the small amount of water that's held. And it has been moved. It's not the Memorial Center. Why couldn't we use the old mill whistle? Because the old mill whistle has been gone for a long time. The other notification whistles or sirens that we had in town have been unused for so long that they are actually not even functional at this point. Yeah, one of them was on private property and it's long gone. So.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm going to answer this one question, and then I'm just going to kind of group a bunch together that really are directed that city needs to answer. I might be able to give you a little bit of information on that. What is the scope of the declared disaster, county and state? So all three of the cities, or all the two of the cities, Troy and Libby, have both declared disaster. Lincoln County has declared a disaster, and the state has declared disaster and is working on pushing it up to the federal government. And some of that is based off of, we got to start getting estimates in on our disaster, but as Sheriff Short reiterated, it's going to be in the tens of millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 100 million. So it's huge.
Holy crap.
So these are some of the questions that we probably won't be able to really answer much, but if I do have some information, I will be happy to pass it on. If the lower Flower Creek Dam is breached, will it flood more than where the ice dams broke in the past? Kind of hard to answer that question. I was here for the ice jams. I was actually standing at the ice jam when the wall above us broke and come rushing down and almost took out some of our people. And, you know, I just don't know. And that's the answer to that question. What I do believe is I don't think we're going to see the damage that we saw. We might see broader, kind of based off of their modeling, but it shouldn't be as bad, I wouldn't imagine. But that's just a guess too. Does the lower reservoir have emergency high water overflow spillway? I think it does, yeah. And it was working. It was overtopping during this event. I don't know if they're going to release water out of the urgent. Somebody's asking if they're going to slowly release water. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. There is some studies, there's supposed to be some studies going on the dam today. Do we know if they made it here? Darren's right, it's not a dam, but it's a lot more natural. So, the lower reservoir. Anyway, there was supposed to be some engineers here today and Darren will touch on that. How will park apartments be affected? I really can't answer that. If Flower Creek Dam breaks, how much time would there be to leave? That's another good question for the city because I know they've done some modeling on that. I also know, saw another question here, that they did some calculations on how much water it's actually holding the other day, but we are not privileged to that information right now, unless somebody else here has it that I don't know. How much cubic feet of water does the Flower Creek Dam hold? So, and that's basically the same question. We're not really sure, and that'd be a good question for them. If the pond is full of sediment, wouldn't it have just a few feet of water? Yeah, Darren answered that already. How is there an estimate of how deep the flood water will get? So in my conversation with Montana DES yesterday, and we were, talking about different scenarios and stuff, kind of best guess from some experience with people who have seen reservoirs like this. I gotta write that down. Almost. Have seen reservoirs like this fail in the past. Generally, it's sections and not like a complete wipeout, like the whole wall doesn't come down, but you lose sections, usually on either end. And so you get a release like that, and once again, this is just, best guesswork, is that at worst, foot or two above flood, and more likely 6 inches or so. So not catastrophic. Could there be damage, and would there be damage? Yeah, but we're probably not going to see homes piled up like, sticks at the end of the Flower Creek. So, like I said, I'm staying there. I don't have any plans on leaving. And we're getting more information daily, like engineers are up there. So could some of this change? Could some of these estimates change? Yeah, absolutely. Cabinet or Flower Creek, do we need to evacuate? Like I said, I live in Flower Creek. I'm not leaving. And if we thought people needed to leave, if it was, a very serious imminent situation and we were concerned for people's lives, we would have issued an evacuation order. There would have been an order go out over code red. You'd have had deputies knocking on your door telling you that you needed to evacuate. So that hasn't happened. If we receive information that says that, yeah, it looks like it's going to fail, you're going to hear from us.
So another quick explanation of this. So if you look to the upper right, this is the lower reservoir and the dike that holds it in. So when I was talking about 29 acre feet was their original estimate of how much water this would hold, that's enough water to cover 29 acres 1 foot deep. With the sediment that's in it now, the estimate is about 14 to 15 acre feet. So that would cover 14 to 15 acres 1 foot deep. So you have to understand as it's coming downstream, 14 acres isn't a tremendous amount of ground. So as it starts to spread out, it's going to get less and less and less. Even if it was a catastrophic failure. And that would have to be a catastrophic failure where the entire dike was washed out and it all came down at once.
Can't sediment flow also?
What's that?
Can't the sediment flow also? I mean,
It will to some extent, but it's going to be a lot slower. But even at that, what we saw in the upper reservoir, when all that happened, it took weeks for that sediment to flow down to this far. So it's going to be slow. So the question that I have is, what are the concerns for asbestos contamination? So anytime you saw them doing an asbestos cleanup, what do? They put water on it to contain it. So all of this is contained in the water until they do some testing with the sediment that was washed down. I really can't answer that one.
I'll give you guys a little bit of a break. Okay. Mr. Goodman, this might be one lobbing out into the audience here. Talking about the boil order and affecting schools, and recommendations on school closures with the boil order. Oh, that was another question also. Yes, the boil order remains in place. At this time, we'll be fortunate to have that lifted by this time next week. But that's just the latest information for us. Mr. Goodman, would you like to share anything?
For water? Yeah, I can talk about water. So, I'm gonna use you want me to go to the mic and so you go?
I got you.
Project, Ron.
I can yell at people too, that's fine.
So we do believe that the water is going to have the turbidities, and so what we've done in the past, we've done this, I don't know, 2 or 3 different times since I've been here. We'll provide water from McGrade. McGrade is 165 foot deep well, and it is tested on a regular basis for consumption out of McGrade. So we will be bringing water into the schools. We're going to ask that the parents send water bottles with the students, because if we're going to be doing this for, I don't know, I'm guessing a week or at least, maybe a little longer than that, we don't want to be packing water bottles all over the place. So we will provide that for the students, and hopefully that'll just go as smooth as it's gone in the past. And we're looking forward to making sure that the kids are in school. So any of the questions on the water? Yeah, go ahead.
It's me, Ron, yeah.
Yes, we will have school on Monday.
Hey, Ron, how will this impact like our ability to provide lunches since we're cleaning and things like that at school? Is this going to impact lunch now for us?
Yeah, so the kitchen's a big issue for us, and so we're going to be moving water back and forth from a grate to the kitchen, and the kitchen is at Central School. The food is always transported to the individual buildings. Yeah, other question?
can we run our dishwashers?
We are planning, I believe we are planning. Yeah, so we have yes, we have dishwashers that are high temperature. Everything should be sanitized. It's not going to be a problem that way. You're going to have to ask them. I'm not sure.
Any other questions? Trista's still running around. Catch her, please.
So we have a guest here that's going to talk to some of the water issues. He is our water expert that showed up here. One thing Commissioner Teskey brought up, if there's any more questions about asbestos, please refer your questions to the ARP. They're going to be monitoring everything. If you're going to do a new dig, make sure you ask the ARP for testing. Call that 1-800 number for the asbestos response program.
Hello, I'm Leon Olenek with Montana Water System. Leon Olenek with Montana Water Association. Water and sewer system. On the dishwasher, for washing dishes, you should be able to, as long as, there we go. Kind of new with it. As long as it's got a sanitizer on it where it heats it up, you should be very safe. On the wells, your community water or your private wells, if your well has been submerged, you're going to have to disinfect it, with chlorine. And there's, I think, stuff online that you can find about disinfecting that. But if it's been dry around it, no water setting up around the casing, it should be good.
Question, does that depend on areas or what depth are we looking at?
It'd probably be depth. If you got a very shallow well, I'd be concerned. And
we are seeing
is there a depth concern?
depends on what's the kind of material you got for groundwater seeping into your well, or surface water, flood water coming into your well aquifer. So on the safe part of it, if you have a concern, have it tested.
I have a question. So for people who don't have dishwashers in their homes, how are we supposed to use this? I mean, do you bleach or?
I guess you could use bleach or use boiled water to sanitize your water that you're using to wash it with.
Okay, a couple of quick ones, and then I'll pass it on. Can I touch on the integrity of the remaining bridges? So any of the bridges that are currently open to the public have been inspected. The inspectors came from Kalispell. They started at the east end of the county and inspected all of the highway bridges as they came in. All of the Flower Creek bridges in the city, all of the bridges in the city have been inspected. Parmenter Creek has been inspected. Any bridge that is currently open to the public has had an inspection. Hold on. So the weather report is showing significant rain coming again the first of the week. Are we going to be constantly monitoring and issuing updates? Absolutely. We are watching the weather probably on an hourly basis. Jesse is the floodplain specialist here, and he is monitoring the weather on an ongoing basis. He's getting alerts in any change. Yeah, Rocky.
How about that Lower Creek bridge out by Long Cord Terrace? How's that bridge doing? There's been some concern out there about the bridge.
Which bridge?
The
Quartz Creek Bridge?
Yeah.
It's been inspected.
Hey guys, let's try to just hold up the cards because we're trying to keep it all together here. If you guys have questions, I'll bring them back.
So there's going to be some stuff we can't answer or we can't answer right now. One of those questions was for the inspector, what's the likelihood of dam failure? We can't answer that. If and when we do get that information, it will get pushed out. And how are we preparing for the snow and the weather that's coming? Said we are, I make daily phone calls to the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service has been very responsive. If I make a phone call and say, hey, I need an update for the next 24 hours, they'll give me that update. And then generally, if there's any changes, they'll just call me back. It's not uncommon for me to get a call a couple hours later and then go, okay, we're updating this. We're either increasing the expected amount of rainfall or decreasing the expected amount of rainfall. But we know what it's like dealing with the Weather Service. They don't always get it right. And quite honestly, this wasn't the first flood alert that we got. And the other flood alerts, we didn't see anything, zero. And we got less rainfall than expected. So you just predicting the weather is, you just don't know what you're going to get. We were supposed to have a bad fire season this year, really bad. That was the expected weather the extended weather forecast, and we ended up with significant amounts of rain when we weren't supposed to get it. Actually, the last 2 years, they kept our fire danger way down, and we were able to get through with minimal amount of wildfires compared to what was expected. So it's just kind of a toss-up. But they do try. Like I said, they're very responsive. Somebody was asking about phone number for resources, 293-6295. That is the number to the EOC. And somebody there will field your phone call and start and try to answer questions and find any resources that were available to provide for you. What's the status of Libby Dam, Lake Koocanusa? We don't have people here to answer that question, but I don't think that this event is probably going to affect that. Is the electrical company showing up power poles? I know they did have, they lost some lines over in the Troy area, and I don't have an update as to whether that power has been restored or not. Is there a place for people who are flooded out to receive mail and packages? Personal experience is if you notify the post office, they'll hold your stuff and you just go pick it up there. Are the creeks going to continue to rise? Right now, they're significantly decreased. If you take a look at them, they're down several feet. We do have a storm coming in as of Monday through Wednesday that they're anticipating that these creeks are going to come back up a little bit, but they're not anticipating them looking like anything like they were. They're expecting a couple inches, up to 2 inches of rain in the valley floor and 4 to 5 inches in the mountains. So we are going to see a rise in the creeks, but it should not be anything related to what we had. We had in some parts of the cabinets, we had as much as 13 inches of rain between Monday and Wednesday. And we had as much as 5 inches in the valley. So it was kind of like a bomb. Does the flood map take in the increased bed load in Flower Creek? That's a question for the city. I know that when they did the modeling this week about the water that was in that lower reservoir, that they had a formula worked out, but we don't have their information to share with you. I apologize for that, but just kind of where the situation is right now.
This is kind of a common recurring question. How can the citizens help during an event like this? So the biggest thing that we would ask citizens to do, look out for your neighbors. If you know somebody who has health issues, has problems, and could possibly be impacted by the flood, check on your neighbors, check on your friends, check on your relatives, take care of them if you're physically able. We've all been through some of these flood events. It's pretty common the places that flood. If you're able to and you want to help sandbag, go find one of the sandbag locations and help fill sandbags.
Okay, so a couple housekeeping things. The phone number at the EOC is 293-6295. We've also setting up to take information in photos, detailed documentation of property damage. That can be sent to LC Planning, PLANNING @libby.org. We'll share more information on that. So that will begin getting spread around. I'm just lumping a few of these together that are, looking at forecasting weather. Again, our EOC and just staff has probably tripled just in the last days. So yes, naturally, we've got those professionals involved monitoring weather. Emergency shelter, never at risk. Why is it moved? That was on the Red Cross as well. They actually, with the latest information that we had concerns of being in that floodplain. We've again set up now at the Memorial Center, so that's there. City available to answer questions. No, we don't have anybody with the city that was able to join us.
Actually, there's some
Clearing
people
out
from the city here.
damaged houses, landfill prepared for the mixed loads that will soon be arriving. Landfill will is waiving any fees as it relates to flood damaged goods. Clearinghouse for those needing help cleaning up and those who are able to volunteer. Just my understanding of operations at this point, no, not coming from us at the EOC. We're still in the mode of assessing full damage and having, working on building into that recovery phase. So currently, no, we're not leading any sort of volunteer engagement and efforts. I'd say connect with the Red Cross, connect with others in the community.
So I have a couple that are more city oriented. Why isn't city present? I think Zach answered that. Another one about the city cutting the water bill. I have no control over that one. So one of the things everybody has to realize, the city's municipal water supply has been through boil orders just about every spring because of turbidity. We're kind of in the same boat. Yeah, we got a lot of water, but the turbidity will subside and the water will become safe to drink again.
Grizz are up 16-0.
All right, the Grizz are up 16-0. Are we going to have another Grizz Bobcat game?
That's what I was going to add, and seeing people start to trickle out already. Please feel free to come and go as you like. We're going to stay as long as I've got support crew here and continue to answer questions.
My daughter's a Grizz alumni, so go Grizz. Can we use Forest Service roads for designated escape routes? We are currently using 17 Mile for the people that live on 17 Mile on the ag side. So if there are routes that could be designated, we'll reach out to the Forest Service. I'm sure we won't have any issues with those. What's the plan for the Champion Hall Road washover? We're going to do some temporary repairs to stay in plans as far as we have to work with FEMA for funding and stuff like that. follow up on that question, the only current access road is at the private dirt road that's icy and dangerous to get up in the winter. I think I know what you're talking about, that little steep road that goes up kind of by Rocky Showers and that. So there's going to be some temporary repairs made to try to get people in there, is my understanding, that we can do that in the meantime while we build out the cost estimates and stuff to actually repair this stuff back to where it needs to be. But like I said, this is a very big thing, and we just have to make sure that we're taking the right steps to protect the county's interest and protect the taxpayer dollars. How is the earth dam on Double N Lake? I have not heard anything about any other earth dams, reservoirs having any issues. There's been no other information coming in. So I think that.
They have not been releasing water out of Double N. That dam could be in danger if they don't start releasing water.
Okay. Right, that would be, like I said, that's information I don't have, so we'll have to evaluate that.
Another one for the city, how is the sewer system holding up? As far as I know, we have not heard any issues with the sewer system. It was not affected by any of the major runoff. Everything from there drains away pretty well. So you can contact the city about that one and ask about the sewer system. What?
I run the city.
Oh. It's doing great? The city sewer system is doing great. Okay. Do we in Lincoln County have an actual water treatment plant? The county does not. Most of the county runs on wells. All of the water that comes off the municipal water supply runs through an actual treatment plant. School bus routes. As far as I know, any of the road closures that affect school bus routes will be rerouted. I don't think any of the pickup spots, unless they're within a road closure area, will be affected. Mr. Goodman? Mr. Goodman, is that correct? The school bus routes will be rerouted around the closure areas?
Yeah, there's gonna be some changes on all that because some of the bus stops can't get there anymore. I was working with Travis Baker yesterday, and there'll be information on that as soon as possible. Because there's a bunch of changes on that.
Okay, so if you didn't hear that, Mr. Goodman said that any of the affected places will be rerouted, and the schools will update you with any changes to the school bus routes and pickup locations.
Most of the information is going to come from the bus company itself, so I'll push that out to parents as well.
Okay, most of the information will come from Harlow's, the bus company, and the school system will then push that out.
This question's water. At commercial businesses, we're asked to use commercially bottled water. Can it be boiled instead? Yes, steady boil for 3 minutes. Water may still be cloudy, but it's safe. Running low on questions. If there's any other questions, catch Trista here, and so we can keep them moving.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of questions here. When and how can we apply for emergency funding? The emergency funding sources are not in place yet. Keep track of the EMA website. Contact the Emergency Operations Center. Give them your name if you have some damages. Let them know what the damages are, and then they will at least have your information when and if any emergency funding comes into play. Were there any hazardous materials released? Not that we know of. Mercury release? Once again, not that we've heard about. What safety measures for the upcoming weather? as I said, we're going to have people out monitoring the streams constantly. We're going to have constant updates on the weather, and we will do the best we can to alert everybody if there is a significant weather event that's going to impact any of the stream flows.
This is asking to ID the Red Cross coordinator. Her name's Christina. Oh, there she is. Oh, she's here. All right.
I missed the question.
I got a question. Who's the incoming type 3 team?
I don't know exactly who the incoming Type 3 team, but they are going to be a Western Region team. I know they're going to have people out of Missoula. It's an ad hoc team, but they're all going to be from Western Montana. I know some of them have experience with the Custer County, the Red Lodge flooding. So they are coming to this area with specific experience in major flooding events.
Question is, did Troy schools receive the same information that Libby schools did on Thursday? The only information that I'm aware that got passed on to the Libby schools was related to the lower Flower Creek Reservoir and the information that we were getting at the time that there was water overtopping it and that there was a small washout on it. Now I had spoke with the schools myself and said, hey, we have some issues we're monitoring, and I think we need to make sure that everybody's in a safe place and that's not the most ideal. And the schools worked on getting that taken care of quickly. So Troy, like I said, just wasn't in that information loop because it didn't apply to them. So somebody asked about the emergency travel. When that alert went out, we initially used the words emergency travel. We changed it to, basically, we weren't really referring to emergency travel. What was happening was we had people getting in the way of first responders. And we were trying to restrict that and not have people driving out and into flooded areas. We did lose one vehicle and could have easily lost a life out on Farm to Market because they didn't know the bridge had washed out and drove into the creek. And so we were trying to restrict that to get people to, slow down and think. If you didn't need to be on the roadway, then stay home. Or if you're going to work, go to work, but don't be driving around and be out, getting in the way and putting yourself at risk. So
hey, I got a question. Is Libby Creek next week when the rain starts coming in, is it gonna get wider where it pushes the water back into our community? Or is it gonna stay pretty we're safe there? Because we got like 5 foot in our front yard. And I was just wondering, next week when it starts raining, right next to Libby Creek, off Farmers Market over in Pine Village, that whole corner on that corner got hit hard. And I was just wondering, are we okay with that? Is it going to stay about where it's at? Or it's going down really good, but y'all said if I get a couple more inches of rain, and I'm just concerned about
It's not anticipated to be anything like what we experienced, but what we experienced wasn't anticipated either. But I think that the weather forecast as it exists shows a lot less chance that we're going to experience anything significant.
So on that note, also remember, the sandbag sites will be restocked with sand and sandbags. So if you have any concerns about potential impact of flooding, now's the time to sandbag. Get the sandbags out there, get the diversions out there, try to protect your properties now before we start getting this new rain event. Somebody asked if there were going to be any help or donations for the young man who drove into Libby Creek. That's kind of up to, it's not any part of our funding, but this community always comes together to help people out. So I'm guessing that the people that know him will probably set up donations and try to help him out. This community always does.
All right, one more question. Somebody asked about wind events. Reminder, our soil's compromised. If we do get a wind event, trees are going to be a lot less stable, and which usually affects power lines and stuff like that. What I can tell you is during, this 2 or 3 days where this thing was building up and actually took place, we had 2 different wind prediction events. One of them called for up to 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and honestly, I just didn't see anything that was even remotely like any of that. We saw a few branches down, but 60 miles an hour would have, with the soil as wet as it was, would have knocked over some trees and stuff, and we just didn't get that. So once again, it's weather prediction.
Where are the sandbag locations at?
So we have 2 sandbag locations set up right now. One at Pioneer Park and one out off of Ward's Road there at the shop on Ward's Road. We have at times, if we had a specific site like out at Lower Granite where we had multiple homes affected by that initial flooding, we had sand and sandbags delivered right to that location as well too, until they had met their needs, and that can be done with a little bit of notification. We can make more direct deposits of those resources. And like I said, if anybody has a need for sandbags, the 293-6295 number is the number to call. Logistics is available there. They can help coordinate the delivery of that stuff or any other resources that are needed, or to report any known damages as well.
Okay, we had a question. How far is the reservoir from town? The lower reservoir is approximately 1.5 miles from town.
The website for info is Health Department Facebook page. Health Department Facebook page. We've said website in that a couple of times, but that's the easiest for us right now, and to be able to get information out as quickly as we can. So the Health Department Facebook page.
There was questions of what bacteria that they're concerned about in the water, and right now I think their main concern is this fecal coliform, because of the filters can't filter out. So that's what they're looking at. And then another thing about taking a shower, you should be safe as long as you're not drinking it.
Okay, is there a plan for the family stuck in their house up Granite Creek? We have been in contact numerous times with the family that is up Granite Creek. They have huge amounts of supplies, lots of food, lots of water. They have solar power, they have generator power. The last time I talked to them, they said, we're in this for the long haul. We'll stay through Christmas and New Year's if we need to. If we need anything, we'll reach out. So we're in constant contact with them, and if they have any needs, if they need to get out, we'll do what we have to do to get them out.
There was a message or a question that came in on a cell phone, and it was, what is IPAWS? And asked about any emergency sirens. What I can tell you is I've been in this position now for about 1 year and 9 months or so. My knowledge about the sirens and stuff is that they haven't been functioning for quite a while. They're old equipment, they aged out and just worn out. I can tell you that the cost of replacing them is significant. I have seen some studies on it, and it's something we're evaluating. But that's on top of that. We've moved into other forms of notification, like the Code Red, and what IPAWS is IPAWS is basically the same version as doing like an Amber Alert. if you have a cell phone and we send an alert out to an area, or you enter an area that already has an existing alert and you have a cell phone, you're going to get that notification. It goes out to cell phones, it goes out over weather, radio, and it notifies people immediately of any impending issues.
Can we use the fire siren? That reaches quite a distance. Just a constant fire siren?
I would have to have that discussion with them. Somebody wanted to know about the process of receiving federal funding for the infrastructures. So that process begins with identifying the issues that we have, bridges, roads, and on, documenting the work and the materials that we put into either salvaging them, trying to save them, any repairs we do to be able to use them until we can replace them, and the hours, the equipment we've used, all of that stuff. It has to be documented, and it has to be documented in a specific way for FEMA. Then we have to have all of the emergency declarations in place, which we've got a very good start on, and we are trying to do a very diligent job of documenting all of the work that we're putting into those. So that's basically how it is. It's very detailed, it's very intricate. FEMA is going to go through with a fine-tooth comb, but we are doing everything we can to lay the groundwork for success on that. And that's also part of bringing in the Type 3 team, is they will have expertise in helping us with that. Also, the people that are here from Gallatin County, Missoula County, Lewis and Clark County right now have a lot more experience in dealing with that, and along with Montana DES, who's also here, and they are providing us guidance on how to lay the groundwork for that.
Question about testing wells that are flooded and get info on that. Call the EOC, and then we can get you connected and get information to you.
So I did have one question about the Kootenai River and Kootenai River flows. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was flowing 17,000 cubic feet per second out of the dam initially when this event hit. They are down to 4,000 feet, which is the minimum flow from Libby Dam, and they are going to maintain 4,000 feet as long as they determine there's a need. As long as we can see in the foreseeable future, they're going to maintain the flow at 4,000 feet. So any of the high water that you see in the river is all coming from the tributaries.
How long do you guys foresee the boil order staying in effect for?
It's unknown right now. Information, as most recent information is that we'd be lucky if it's lifted at this time next week.
Just trying to figure out what to prepare for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the latest information is at least a week. Mr. Goodman, did you want to share bus route information?
Yeah, I just got it. Bus route number 1 and number 5 are going to be changed, and the applicant will be contacted by the bus company. I'll put it out.
Repeat that for Zoom.
Bus route 1 and 5 will be changed, and that information will be coming out over Parent Square.
And the bus company will contact them as well.
And the bus company will contact those affected as well.
Okay, another couple quick ones. Which agency is inspecting the lower Flower Creek dike, reservoir dike? Not dam, dike. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has 2 engineers on site that are up there currently. So, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Will the water issue from Flower Creek affect the Libby Dialysis Clinic? I'm assuming, just like the hospital and the schools, they have contingency plans for the water for their clinic. You have to remember that pretty much every spring, when we get high runoff in the spring, the city goes through a boil order. This is not really much different, other than the amount of sediment that's in the water. Land saturation. How is the hill at the end of Montana Avenue regarding landslide? We are monitoring all of the potential landslide locations closely, just like we are monitoring the streams. So hopefully we won't have any landslides. Sanders County had one that took out a couple of houses. Luckily, nobody was killed in that, but we are monitoring those closely as well.
What about
Yak Hill? Montana Department of Transportation and the county resources are monitoring the Yak Hill as well as the up by Yak Falls.
Good evening, last call. Any other questions?
You said you haven't heard anything about Double Lake, but when will you have information on that?
Now that we're aware of it, we will send some resources out there and take a look at it and contact the responsible parties.
Okay, there's a culvert pipe between King Bates' property and my property on Champion Hollow that will be at threat if they happen to spill too much.
We will assess that as soon as we contact the responsible party for that reservoir.
Question here. So how long does it take for a bridge to get repaired? What type of time frame?
Question was, how long does it take for a bridge to be repaired? So one of the biggest things is they have to do an engineering assessment, make sure that the bridge structure itself is intact, or if it needs to be replaced. Then they have to design a bridge. They have to do all of the engineering, have to come up with the funding for it. So some of these bridges could be 6 months, year and a half. A lot of it depends on who actually owns the bridge, whether it's a Montana Department of Transportation bridge or a county bridge. The county's going to try everything they can to get their bridges back up and operating as soon as possible. I have no control over the Montana Department of Transportation or the Forest Service. There's a lot of Forest Service bridges that are out. There's some that we've only accessed by drone or by aircraft. So we don't even know the extent of the damage beyond some of these road washouts. So if you're traveling in the forest, be very, very careful anytime you come to bridges, anytime you come near a stream where there might be a road washout. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to thank Byron for letting us use the theater.
Yeah, huge round of applause for Byron and Chelsea. As soon as I reached out to them, they were like, let's do it. And he changed the reader board on the marquee, gave us full access. So thank you hugely to Byron and Chelsea Sanderson.
Thanks for wrapping things up for me. Byron, do you have anything to add? Otherwise, we'll conclude this meeting. Thanks again for everyone that was here and for all that you do in our community and looking out for each other.
I will add one thing. I'm not going to stand in front of that speaker because it will feed back. Not that it matters, but the show starts at 6.
You're going to have to get on the red alert system.
I had just my own personal perspective, and you guys can leave if you want. Don't have to listen to me because I'm just like you guys. I'm not these guys. These are our emergency management people, our responders, and they all live in our community, and they're no different than everybody that's been here for the last 150 years before us. When a significant event happened, it could be wildfire, it could be flood, it could be whatever it is, groups of people get together and they figure out how they're going to take care of it as a community, and we're lucky to have community people here doing it for us, right? Yeah. So, big round of applause to these guys. And again, let's see, how do we put this? Adults are $10. Seniors over 55 years old are $8. Students 13 to 17 years old are $9. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. You are welcome. Thank you for joining. I will probably be back later in the comments following up when I can. That was a lot of information. So, and also just so everybody knows, I just wanted to point this out. This is me. This is Councilman Ethan and Councilwoman Gail Berger that were both sitting on each side of me. And there was city people here. They just didn't get asked to join and answer any questions. So, just want to clarify that. Okay, going home now. Bye.